buses meet their like thing without having like the snacks like all year?
They did a lot of other fundraising that we haven't been able to do the last few years. And they didn't used to have to fundraise that much, so it's also that.
What?
Senior trip used to be included in your tuition.
What?
Wait, is our trip next week? I thought it was late October.
Nah, it's next Wednesday through Friday.
Are we doing stuff without him?
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, that means we're not doing anything in Fridays. Can't you like not do anything in a class?
Well, Miss Marshall's not gonna be there.
Oh, alright.
Okay. If a projectile is launched vertically upward from the ground with an initial velocity of 60 feet per second, neglecting air resistance, its height s in feet above the ground t seconds after projection is given by s equals negative 16t squared plus 60t. What equation can be used to determine the time at which the height of the projectile reaches 40 feet? No. We're given the equation, okay, we're told t is in time, s is in feet, so if we're talking about at 40 feet and we want to know time, we're just going to plug in 40 for s, so it's going to be 40 equals negative 16t squared plus 60t. Number 3, yep. Suppose that the quadratic equation s equals 0.0538x squared minus 0.807x plus 8.84 model sales of new cars, where s represents sales in millions, and x is equal to 0 represents 2000, like the year 2000, x equals 1 represents 2001, and so on. What equation should be used to determine the sales in 2010?
I was looking at the wrong problem. Yeah, I thought we were doing 2. And then I was like,
All right, next page.
you need your book for like.
The ones that have something about a picture in them, you're going to need them.
So it's squares. Or number 5. Or number 5.
All right.
Are we?
This one I may not have quite given you enough space, so don't write super big. A rectangle has an area that is numerically twice its perimeter. If the length is twice its width, what are the dimensions? Okay, so length, or well, let's start with width. Width is going to be equal to, we're just going to pick a variable, so I'm going to pick x. We're told that length is twice its width, so length is going to be 2x. What do we know in general about area? Area is equal to what?
Length times width.
Length times width. So in general, the area would be 2x times x, so 2x squared.
Okay.
Now, perimeter in general is what?
Length. 2 length plus 2.
Yes. So 2 times 2x plus 2 times x. So ultimately that's going to give you 6x.
So the area is twice the perimeter. It's twice its perimeter. So 2x times 2.
So related to perimeter, like you said, it's twice the perimeter. So the area would be equal to 2 times 6x, which is 12x. So now I have two formulas for area. Okay, I need to solve for x. So what do you think I should do?
Set.
I have two area formulas. So what can I do with them?
Combine them.
How?
Put.
Because I have this area formula and I have this area formula. If they're both area, what should I do?
Combine them.
If area is going to be the same regardless of which formula I use, what should I do? Set them equal to each other. So I'm going to have 2x squared is equal to 12x. I need to solve, so I'm going to move everything over to one side. So I'm going to have 2x squared minus 12x equals 0. How do I go about solving this? Which is what?
2x.
Take out a 2x, that leaves me with x minus 6. So with that, what are my two options for what x could be equal to?
0 and 6.
Now, what do you notice about those?
They're both possible.
0 is not positive.
0 is nothing.
Can I have a length or width value of 0? No. So this one is just not possible. So that means then that my width was x, so it's just going to be 6, and it didn't give us any kind of units, so we don't have to worry about that. Length was 2 times the width, so it's just going to be 12.
Oh.
Okay, now number 6, we're not actually going to do 6, but it's very similar. Okay, it's a rectangular box. The volume equation, just in case you don't know it off the top of your head, is length times width times height. Okay, but you will need to look at well, you probably could do it without looking at the picture, but I would recommend you look at the picture to go with it to make sure you understand what's happening. All right, number 8. Okay, this one has a picture to go with it. I'm going to do like a rough sketch of the picture over here. But it's basically this guy holding a kite. Okay.
This is where you would use the Pythagorean theorem.
Yes, I am going to use the Pythagorean theorem.
I love the Pythagorean.
Now, the thing is that this guy is standing and he is 5 feet, okay, or he's holding the kite 5 feet off the ground.
Oh, my kite looks pretty good. Oh, never mind. Doesn't look good anymore.
There we go.
Doesn't look too bad.
Oh, I hate these problems.
You don't love the Pythagorean theorem,
I
Ethan?
hate triangles.
I hate fractions. Amen.
All right, so this was all given information. Okay, you could have inferred that from this writing, but it gave it to you with the picture. So there it is. So Grady is flying a kite on a 50-foot string. Its vertical distance from his hand is 10 feet more than its horizontal distance from his hand. Okay, so its horizontal distance is just x. The vertical distance, it's 10 feet more than the horizontal distance. That's why it's the x plus 10. And his distance from the ground, he's holding the string 5 feet above the ground, okay? We're trying to find the horizontal distance and the vertical distance, but the vertical distance is all the way to the ground, okay? So when we ultimately do it, we're going to have to add the 5 feet for how far off the ground he's holding it, okay? So, Pythagorean theorem, with this information, how would I set it up?
X plus 10 squared plus x squared is equal to 50 squared.
Okay. So what is x plus 10 squared factor into?
X squared plus 100.
You're missing a term.
Darn it.
It's the middle term. Plus 20x plus 100 plus x squared equals 50 squared is 2500. So now what do I need to do?
Combine like terms.
So 2x squared plus 20x plus 100 equals 2500. What should I do now?
Move the 100 over to
Other thing. Move the 2500 over.
Ah.
So 2x squared plus 20x minus 2400 equals 0. Now what can I do?
Take out 2. Yeah.
You got a 2 from everything. So x squared plus 10x minus 1200 equals 0. Since I'm going to end up dividing the 0 by the 2, that's why I just didn't write it. Okay, but there is technically a step in between that. But you don't need to write it. So now we need factors of 1200, negative 1200, that give you positive 10.
Isn't like 50 and
So let's just look at, for the moment, what are factors of 12?
2 and 6. Oh. 3.
But add a 0 to each of them, basically.
Negative 30 and 40.
Negative 30 and 40, okay? So the factors would be 4 and 3, but they each have 0 added to them because it was 1200. So it'll be positive 40 and negative 30. So x plus 40 times x minus 30 equals 0.
Okay, so
Okay, other options, if you didn't know that, you could use the quadratic formula. You could complete the square. All that fun stuff. So x equals what?
x equals negative 40 and x equals 30.
Do we notice anything about this one?
It can't have a negative.
Can't have negative, so get rid of it.
Not possible.
So I need to know the horizontal distance and the vertical distance. So horizontal distance would be what? So the horizontal is just 30, and we were given units, so we do want to put units on it. Vertical would be what?
Vertical
Forgetting something.
is 10 feet more than the horizontal plus 5, so
45. Okay, so it was 30 plus 10 plus 5 to get that.
Go team. Look at us go.
dad's here drops me off. Can I go grab it like super fast? You can start the next one without me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
How much do we want to bet she's gonna get distracted by Rufus?
Very.
If he's, oh, I don't know if Rufus is with her, but oh, wrong thing. One second. I realized I forgot to eat breakfast today.
Fun. I had a piece of toast.
I mean, I had coffee, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, why am I so hungry? It's because I didn't eat.
My mom made me toast.
I don't know how people can drink coffee.
I wasn't honestly a big fan of it until literally college.
I despise coffee.
It's not a bad thing.
Huh?
I said that's not a bad thing. It's not exactly the best thing for you, and it's really expensive. So
My dad drinks like 10 cups a day.
like, does he drink it like straight, or does he put stuff in it? Like, does he put like cream and
It's
sugar
just
in it?
straight black coffee.
No.
It's straight black.
That's what my husband does. I'm like,
Every time.
Like, I'll put like literally like a splash of milk in it, and that's it.
He'll tell me, he'll stop drinking it, and he'll cut it down to like 2 cups a day. That lasted for about a week, and I started drinking it again.
That's great. All right. An astronaut on the moon throws a baseball upward. The astronaut is 6 feet 6 inches tall, and the initial velocity of the ball is 30 feet per second. The height s of the ball is given in feet, given by the equation blah 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 blah, where t is the number of seconds after the ball was thrown. After how many seconds is the ball 12 feet above the moon's surface? Okay, so s is the position. Okay, it's the height. So we're gonna put in 12 for s. Okay, now something I'm just going to tell you really quick about these kind of problems, okay, these like projectile problems. Okay, if I throw a ball, okay, up in the air, okay, in a parabolic fashion, not just like straight up and straight back down, but if I were to like toss the ball over to you, okay, any of you, okay, at a certain point, okay, now obviously in here I can't throw it 12 feet, but it may be 12 feet may not be at the highest point. Okay, 12 feet may be down here, and the highest point may be up here. So there's actually could be, okay, 2 possible times when it's at 12 feet. Okay, because like in here, I don't know. I'm just gonna guess these are like what, 8 foot, 10 foot ceilings. I don't know. We're just gonna say 10 to make it easy. Okay. So if I said at 8 feet, okay, then we're just gonna say right here. Okay, you got it's 8 foot here, but on the way back down to Lorelei, it's also going to be 8 feet again. Okay, it's at some point going to be at 10 feet at the ceiling. Well, hopefully I don't actually hit the ceiling. Okay, so there could be 2 possible times. I'm not saying that there is for this one or not, but I'm just saying that when you have parabolic problems, sometimes there's 2, and people forget one of them because they just don't think about, oh, there are 2 possible times that this could occur. So, just FYI. All right, so plugging in 12 for s, so 12 equals negative 2.7 t squared plus 30t plus 6.5. So I'm going to move the 12 over, so I'm going to have it set equal to 0. So 0 equals negative 2.7 t squared plus 30t minus 5.5. Now, can we factor this? Can I complete the square?
Yes. No.
No.
That is quadratic formula.
Quadratic formula. So, plugging it into the quadratic formula, negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times negative 2.7 times negative 5.5 all over 2 times negative 2.7. Now, at this point, I would get a calculator if somebody wants to solve that for us. Or at least solve the inside part.
Mr. G.
Oh, hello.
This was left in the white bus. It looks like food kind of stuff.
Okay. Do y'all know whose this is?
But it's probably someone on the team.
The one y'all took today or the one we took last night?
One we took last night.
Okay. We'll check on it.
She just saw it today.
Oh, okay.
You know, okay.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thanks.
Figure out whose it is, I guess, eventually. All right, so inside, do any of y'all have a calculator out? If not, I'll just grab one.
I can get one out.
All right, so inside we've got
I cannot get one out.
30 squared. It's going to end up being minus 4 times 2.7 times 5.5.
I think mine was high, but I do not.
So it's going to be negative 30 plus the square root of 840.6 over, we'll figure that out in a second, negative 30 minus the square root of 840.6 over whatever that's going to be.
Oh, shoot.
2 times negative 2.7.
You know the quiz I thought I could get on? Maybe not, no. I did a quadratic one wrong.
I literally had it written on the board.
Yeah, but I didn't separate it into 2 different answers. I just wrote plus or minus. I don't remember. There was one I did and there was one I didn't. I don't.
You go for it.
Just.
All right, this one is 0.19. This one over here is 10.92. So both of these are positive values, so you have 2 positive times. That means that there are 2 different times when it is 12 feet above. Okay, so this one did happen to have 2 times that it was above.
We need to make that to 10.9 because it says to the nearest hundredth.
100th is 2 decimal places.
Just
So when t is equal to 0.19 and t is equal to 10.92 and units, it's in seconds. So we're going to put seconds on there. So those are the 2 times where that occurs.
That was not too bad. I thought it was going to be harder.
These problems are just ones of basically applying quadratic formula to a word problem, basically, is what all of these are.
So now we're going to do the same thing for the next one, but
So the next one says how many seconds will it take for the ball to hit the moon's surface? So in this case, I mean, yes, more or less we are doing the same thing, but we're going to say since it's being thrown from the surface of the moon, we're going to call the surface of the moon 0. Okay, so now we're solving for the time for it to actually hit the surface. Okay, so we're going to use 0 for s this time instead. So it'll be 0 is equal to negative 2.7 t squared plus 30t plus 6.5. So now we don't have to like move something over. We just have to plug it into the quadratic formula as is. So it'll be negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times negative 2.7 times 6.5 all over 2 times negative 2.7. Let's see. 30 squared minus, or wait, that's going to end up being plus 4 times 2.7 times 5, oops, wrong button. So inside we have the square root of 970.2 over, the bottom is still negative 5.4. So then to split it, negative 30 plus the square root of 970.2 over negative 5.4, or we have negative 30 minus the square root of 970.2 over negative 5.4. So negative 30 plus the square root of 970.2 divided by negative 5.4. This is negative 0.21. And the other one, negative 30 minus the square root of 970.2 divided by negative 5.4. This is 11.32. So, what do you notice?
It's a negative, so it can't be.
Can't have negative time. That one's gone. So, it hits the surface of the moon, went at 11.32 seconds. You still need that.
What are you doing?
13.
You good back there?
Don't die on us, please. All right. Salaries in millions of dollars. Okay, so that means when your answer comes out, it's going to be like, I don't know, 12. Okay, that means like 12 million. Okay, but you can just write MIL or something like that for a million. You don't have to like actually write out all the zeros, just FYI. For rookies selected in the first round of the NFL 2014 draft can be approximated by the quadratic model y equals blah, 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 where X represents draft pick order. Players selected earlier in the round have higher salaries than those selected later in the round. Use the model to estimate the salary of the player selected first overall to the nearest tenth of $1,000,000. So what do you think I need to do to set this one up?
You're going to use the formula y equals the theta, right?
What am I plugging in?
Your,
So X represents draft pick order. So if I want the person selected first overall, what am I plugging in?
X.
1. So this is when X is equal to 1. Okay, so I'm plugging it in. So Y equals 0.0258 times 1 squared minus 1.30 times 1 plus 23.3. So that's 0.0258. Since it's just times 1, I don't need to do that. Minus 1.3 plus 23.3. Wait, yeah. So that's going to come out to, it wants it to the nearest tenth of $1,000,000. Well, it is going to be 0.0, so I'm just not going to write it. So Y is going to be equal to $22 million.
that's a lot of dollars.
It's a fact. All right, so then what is the estimated salary of the player selected 10th overall? So what do I do? I Siegel laughed yesterday in stats.
Do you just plug in 10?
Yep. So Y equals 0.0258 times 10 squared minus 1.30 times 10 plus 23.3. So 10 squared is 100, so 0.0258 times 100 is 2.58 minus 1.3 times 10 plus 23.3, so that's going to be, still wants it to the nearest tenth, so that's going to be Y equals $12.9 million. Any questions?
Are the rest of the problems due Friday?
Yeah.